international negotiation will be necessary because Japan is in a demographic situation where the market is shrinking, the number of consumers is shrinking. So the future for Japanese businesses is overseas. That means that we will have to engage with foreign partners, with foreign business, and create foreign business relations, which means that we actually will need to engage in negotiation. Now, negotiation is something that you can prepare, and awareness is the first step in learning. Therefore, to learn, this course actually is trying to teach you how Europeans prepare for a negotiation, what you can expect when you're negotiating with Europeans. I think that it will be a very valuable lesson. It doesn't mean that you will that you have to adjust yourself 100%, but you need to be prepared and understand what's on their mind, what they are thinking, why they are doing things that they are doing, and what you can expect. So basically, this course will be about negotiation. So. Very quickly, basically, if you are looking at to the consumer market, consumers, if you for example are selling a car, consumers are not all the same. People are different, and very roughly speaking, when you are engaging with the consumer, you will kind of need to make an assessment. Okay, what is important for this person? Many salesmen, they make the mistake of basically going on and on and on and on about their own car and how wonderful it is, and how well it performs, the top speed, the security, the warranty, etc., etc. But you will not have a limitless attention from the consumer, and especially if you do not understand what drives this consumer, what is important to this consumer, then you might very easily lose his or her interest. So what is of vital importance is to make an assessment. Okay, what drives this consumer, and tailor your sales pitch accordingly. So just as an example, basically, there are consumers who are very much interested in the latest technology. They feel that they need an electric car because electric cars are the future. They want the latest gadgets on it. They want, for example, not only cruise control, but they want to have software on board where it helps parking, it helps even driving. So that is that there is a group of consumers who are very much into that. Then there is another group of consumers who are not so much interested in the gadgets, but more interested in price, quality. What kind of quality do I get for what price? Cost performance is very important for another group of customers. What kind of mileage do I get? What is the price of the car? What kind of engine do I get? So what kind of value do I get from this car? Other people are more emotional driven. They buy the car because it makes them feel good, that makes them feel big, like people who want to drive a nice sports car. They're not interested in value. They are more interested in what other people feel about them when they drive that car. So they could be more attracted by, okay, so what kind of impression do you give with this car? Who else drives this car? So what kind of group, what kind of peers will you get if you buy this car? So that is a different driver. And then there are people who are very much interested in safety and warranty and reliability. So if you find a consumer that you don't have any idea what drives this person, and you just go on and on and on about the safety, the track record of safety, warranty, reliability, while this person actually wants a car that girls will find very attractive, you will not be able to persuade him. The same is true with negotiation. So there are different negotiators, there are different negotiation styles. So actually you need to tailor your strategy based on your profile, what your assessment of the other side. So how do you prepare for negotiation if you don't know exactly what's on the other side? Preparation means everything. So you need to make some kind of assessment, and the European negotiator will always try to actually prepare for all cases. So they need to be prepared to look at every angle of the negotiation, and based on that, they will prepare and adjust accordingly based on the feedback that they get. So the negotiation process starts by making an assessment of your team, the other team, and making an educated guess about what drives the other people. That could be based on figuring out where does this person come from, which university did he go from, what is happening in this company, what country does this person come from. Based on that, you can kind of guess and make a pre-assessment of what you can expect during the negotiation. If this delegation is, for example, from the Middle East, you can kind of guess that they will open very aggressive with their the pricing, for example. This is what you can expect. But if it's a different kind of if they come from a different country than let's say Germany, then you can kind of expect that they will create this agenda from A to Z, lay out the plan, try to frame everything, try to control the entire process. Will not be comfortable if you try to throw sand into the wagon. So we need to play along. So
I think Japanese cannot prepare kind of negotiation items, right? Because European people, of course, just like Germany and French is different, right?
Right.
But the country by country different. But Japanese cannot prepare the detailed checklist like European people.
I don't know. Well, I think that.
But this is car sales, but usually it's a business negotiation.
Right. So basically, the car sales is just an example. Okay. So we have different kind of people, different kind of profiles. You need to target. You need to change your strategy based on the other side. Right.
And business, like even if how to sell car, is the same. Japanese people cannot consider for detail, category like what you said. They don't thinking about so more clear message for car manufacturer.
What I do find in Japan, actually, this is my observation, that Japan is awesome when it comes to providing service. So they have, but they also their service is provided based on it's almost like an employee manual. So an employee needs to learn how to treat.
Oh, you mean the company buyers in the case of company?
In case of company or in case of retail, generally speaking, there is this.
You are talking about not private buyer?
I'm talking about basically if you buy anything anywhere, if you are a consumer, what I find is in stores, for example, people are extremely nice. They are extremely careful. They are very well trained. They know everything about their product, so they can answer almost any question. But they don't listen. They don't listen at all, actually. They just go on and provide the information by without actually trying to understand what drives the customer. So they just follow the manual.
What do you mean not listen?
They don't listen.
Why?
Because actually they have been trained to give this information, to do exactly as was prescribed in the employee manual, I believe. I don't know why else they would do it. But if I ask them, for example, a question that they do not know the answer to, it becomes very awkward because they just want to continue with their own script. For example, when I just came
I don't understand your background. What they're talking about?
So, for example, if I am, as a consumer, I go to an electronics store. I don't speak Japanese that well, so I ask the other side to not use keigo because I'm not familiar with those terms. Impossible.
What's impossible?
Impossible. They will not change their Japanese language to adjust to the level that I can understand it. So they keep having a conversation in keigo, even though I requested significantly. So if you're really truly service-minded, then you would adjust to the customer's request. They don't do that. Never.
Japanese.
Right. They don't make exceptions.
Why don't you make it?
I don't think they're really customer oriented. They're very much eager to just follow a process, follow the instructions, and not make mistakes. If I don't know why, but okay, my assumption is that maybe if this person's superior would catch the employee speaking to a customer without using the proper keigo, he would be scolded or even worse.
So Japanese salesperson, they are not well trained.
I think they are extremely well trained, but they lack the flexibility to actually adjust to what a customer wants. They just follow the manual.
Oh, follow the manual.
So, okay, superior service.
What's different from European people?
We don't read the manual. So we are underinformed. We are not customer oriented, but we kind of try to figure it out together with the customer. So it's terrible. If you go to an electronics store, usually the customer knows more than the person who's working there.
Oh.
The person, if it's 5 o'clock, I mean, immediately he will stop serving because his time's up, and all kinds of things that is terrible for Japanese people. I know quite a few people in the Netherlands who are from Japan. They hate the Dutch service mentality because it actually is not a service mentality at all.
Oh, Japanese is much better.
Much better.
But you said manual oriented.
Very manual oriented. So so omotenashi, to some extent. I really feel that if you're really service
going
oriented.
back to original, you are speaking out. They are not listen. What do you mean?
They don't listen. I mean, they do not adjust their attitude based on customer requests.
I see. Okay.
So when it
No
comes
flexibility.
in terms of, for example, negotiation, a Western delegation will very carefully observe and make an assessment and then adjust its strategy accordingly. I believe that based on what I see in the world around me, I believe that actually in Japan this is underdeveloped. Basically, they decide their strategy and they're just going to deliver it without any consideration what they learn in the process about the other side. This is what they decided, so this is what they're going to deliver. Even if the other side says, well, sorry, I basically I don't want to hear this, I'm more interested to hearing that.
Which is interesting. You said customer service is a big difference between Japan and European people, right?
It's huge, yeah.
And what's the major difference? You said European people, they are not so much customer oriented, right?
No, they're not.
So what is your advantage?
What
is the advantage based on this negotiation skill?
So what is our advantage is that basically we are more tactical. We don't read the manual. We are more looking at, okay, what does this person want? And can I deliver that, yes or no? We have much fewer tools in terms of delivery because we don't know the manual. Basically, we think we know and decide and just, okay.
You guys don't like manual.
We hate it. So if you even if you go, for example, if you're applying for a permit to stay in the Netherlands, it will probably depend a little bit of who you're encountering behind the desk, whether or not you will be able to get a permit, because people are interpreting it themselves.
What do you mean permit?
Like, for example, a residential permit. If you are a foreigner and you want to stay in the Netherlands, depending on who you will meet, and whether there's a good click and this person likes you and says, okay, well, I'm going to do my best for you, you might be able to actually get a permit.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I'm talking about that people are very much more flexible, and they feel like, I will decide, not like I will follow the procedure.
Why are you talking about permit?
As an example.
For what?
As an example to show, okay, what is the difference between Japanese service and European service?
You mean the government service?
Yeah, government service, or it doesn't matter. Even in restaurants, there's a big difference.
You mean the foreigner's permit is in Japan is very difficult to extend?
Yeah, it's
You're
not.
talking about kind of thing?
No, it's just an example. I'm talking about the attitude of the people behind the desk in Japan versus the people behind a desk.
My negotiation, basically just seller is very kind to customer.
Seller.
Seller is very kind to customer, right?
Right.
And very supportive, right?
Right, but absolutely not. So it's very kind, but not flexible at all.
Oh, okay.
Not flexible at all. They have their own. They have their own spiel. They have their own thing that they do, and that what they can offer, and that's it. They will not. They don't put themselves in the shoes of the customer and think, okay, how can I actually help this person? That's not the objective. They need to deliver the service as instructed. So that kind of flexibility, that kind of...
I tell you, Japanese company major problem is sales effort. They try to service to the customer, over, how can I say, it's service too much.
Yeah.
Like for person to by person, like some manufacturing company sells to ABC, they try to change their service style of ABC, right? Because American, European people never do that. ABC, even if customer different, they try to deliver same service.
Yeah.
But Japanese companies, why they cost much? Because they try to change service level by customer. This is, I think, front end salesperson is very flexible to react specific customer. But you're talking about Japanese is too much manual oriented.
Yeah.
But this I have some feeling gap. I don't understand precisely what you want to say.
What I want to say is that I feel that...
Do you understand what I mean? Japanese company, sales type, Bolton nuts, and A company, B company, C company. So manufacturing company try to different service to ABC. Because
it's requested, right?
No. Because that's right.
Yeah.
And some company they even if closing time is 5 p.m. but some company, this company is asking for 7, 8, but only specially allow them to get the order from that company.
Right.
And the B company is they have special order instead of standard parts. So this is willingly need to accept this company. So ABC is different attitude they try to handling for those company. This is typical case. That's the reason why Japanese overhead is cost much.
Right. So in Japan, they follow the customer. Say, "Hai, yorokonde."
Exactly. This is, I think, a big problem for Japan.
This is different from Europeans. Hai, yorokonde. Yorokonde janai. Mendokuse.
Okay, but going back to your opinion, Japanese very much follow on manual base, right?
Right.
But this is still I don't understand well. Even if we written, I just consulting for the company, written manual, but Japanese company never follow on that, because salesperson is very much concerned by customer,
Right.
they try to much more flexible,
But-
treatment for them.
So okay, so this is the difference when we are talking about negotiation. So basically, when the customer expresses, we work till 5, then or till 7 or till 8 till 9. They say, "Hi, we will follow that." Hi, we just follow the customer. What we try to do is manage the customer.
Europe.
We manage a customer. That means that if the customer, for example, I want this, I want that, I want that, we will say, you may want that, but first of all, it's not in our contract, so it's going to cost extra. That's number one. Number two, it is not in your best interest to want this, because in the future you will have extra maintenance. With every upgrade, you will have to invest. You will have to invest more. So instead of saying yes to you, why don't we look at the process and actually change the process a little bit so that it fits within the existing software?
You are recommending standard product use currency?
Yeah, for example. So we are not just saying yes. We try to manage our customer and say, okay, well, please don't say yes to everything, because in the long run, saying yes to a customer always will not be in their best interest. So also, of course, we're thinking about ourselves, because we don't
Okay, going back to the original, you are saying that Japanese people follow on manual.
Yeah.
But still, this is not, I don't understand well. Okay, at this aspect of consultant, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to change your business is based on manual. Don't accept the exception. But normal Japanese company doing too much accepting exception from the customer's request. This is a problem. That costs 30-40% overhead. This is every company they do that. So I think Japanese people are not they understand manual, okay, but usually they never follow on manual. They just accept the company.
But if you are truly customer oriented, you know that basically that their cost, their overhead is going to be 30-40%, because they want to give service to the customer. But is it really in their best interest?
No, this is wrong. But so Japanese people, they should follow the standard manual, no exception. But actually, every company doing business is only exception they're doing.
Yeah,
This
but
is
so
a problem.
they're being told to just okay, when the customer, just follow the customer and just do it. But okay, if I'm asking,
going back to negotiation, and first question is, what's the big differences between Japanese and Westerners? This is my original question. And European people is they do not follow manual, but they what is background for their salesperson's negotiation skill? Or
okay,
something?
so basically the first and foremost is that I believe that the negotiator.
For example, it's manual basis. European people and American people is much emphasized rather than Japanese. My observation, because they are manual oriented. Japanese is not manual oriented. They are too much sophisticated people. They try to consider customer is much more important than manual. Sort of Japanese people,
Right.
kind of characteristic they have. But European people is no allowance for exception. Just you said, okay, just standard part, standard product, standard delivery, pricing, like this. So no exception.
No, of course, no, that's not true, because we will make a lot of exceptions, but they need to pay for it, and we will say, okay, are you sure? So there is a so management is very important. Manage your customer. Make sure that if they want this, then okay, are you sure you want this? And if you want this, then we will need to create a scope document and create a scope exception, and we need to agree on the price, and then we will do it. So step by step. But this is a constant.
I am not sure. European people, they will get lots of training how to sell product.
Yeah.
rather than Japanese. Are there?
I don't think so. Well, when we talk about negotiation, that's a skill. But average salesperson, sales training, I think Japanese salespeople are better trained than Europeans.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I know about the old days. People from factories, like for example, the people from Sony, they would go to all the electronic shops at night, educating the staff on the latest products of Sony products, and trying to drive their sales. And people would stay after work, attend these trainings, know everything there is to know about that product, and then try to sell that to the customers. I don't think you will be able to find any salesman in the Netherlands who would be prepared to stay.
My basically, thinking about negotiation for Japanese people against European people, against American people. Usually Japanese people are very weak to prepare for the condition, like values and
Right.
process and so forth. They're very vague, very vague.
Right.
And because of, I don't know, this is a cultural background.
Well, I don't know whether. Okay, so basically the way that I see this, that okay, Europeans try to control the process, be in control, and have some kind of context, have some kind of framework against which they can manage the entire process from A to B to C.
Of course, the
C
German
to D.
and the British, the French people is a big difference, each of those.
Right. So in
for
Germany,
example,
it's stronger developed than in Italy, for example.
Italy is different.
Italy is more of an art than but
maybe Italy is much more closer to Japanese people attitude. Is it? And German is a big difference between Japan.
well,
and
Italy
Japan.
actually, Italy is very much relationship based. Japan is not.
No, Japan is
No.
very much relationship. Is it?
No, because
No?
basically what is necessary.
Well, Japanese people looking for some person to, for example, he want to buy expensive some vehicle or something, and he try to find out some relationship to figure out who's the most suitable person.
Mm,
So I saw the Italy is more closer to Italy instead of German. German case is they're going to prepare details checklist,
yep.
and he tried to ask him every small issues and big issues
Yes.
whatsoever.
And they get the list,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they will just
Ja-
knock off every point.
Yeah,
of that
Japanese
list.
people never do that, right?
Right.
I don't know British people, but French people, but I thought Italian people is more emphasis on.
But on the other hand, Uno-san, actually, for Italians, there will be somebody, the negotiator, will take personal responsibility for what's happening. He will be the guy you need to go to get anything done. He will not turn around and say, okay, let's do this deal. Basically, the negotiator will make the decisions. In the Japanese delegation,
Yeah, if you are going
the
to buy
negotiator,
cheap product, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to buy expensive one, very similar to Italy, is it?
do they delegate the negotiation power to the actual negotiator? Is the Japanese negotiator capable of making decisions about price, delivery terms, or does this person just need to? Is this person mainly just conveying what has been prepared in Tokyo, and then say, okay, so that's my task? I believe that the Japanese negotiator is not negotiating. He's just presenting what has been decided in Japan. This is their offer. And if there needs to be a counter proposal, then he will need to go back to Japan and do the entire preparation again and give a new proposal. So this is completely different from Italy. The Italian negotiator will try to make a personal negotiation.
This is, I think, we need to more precisely consider for kind of Japanese company. And usually headquarters recently, they try to delegate responsibility to local headquarters people, local people, president to handling the business. But local people, they don't want to take responsibility for negotiation because he does not want to criticize by headquarters. He try to care about his sales performance. So he try to avoid responsibility. It's different from overseas people, Westerners, but I'm not sure. actually they can be delegated and scope and span of control. But in many cases they're not willing to accept span of control to avoid their responsibility.
So that in Europe arena.
You mean the arena? I mean delegated?
Yes, I mean basically a salesperson would not be it would not be acceptable for any salesperson to not take responsibility for his sales. Are you kidding me?
Same thing happened as Sony subsidiary in Singapore. They said several years ago, I just had an interview with him, and he had fully delegated. So it means company by company this is different. And some company, majority of companies, they try not to accept span of control at local office because they try to avoid some evaluation from headquarters.
So not so you cannot be successful. You can only fail. If that's the culture that exists.
Not like I think all the habits. I think Japanese companies is changing now, but still many cases like you said, right. So they don't accept their responsibility. That's negotiation. He can't make answer because he tried to avoid his responsibility. If he willingly accepts his responsibility, he just decides by himself, right?
Right.
This is obvious. Some company, like I told you, Sony, they did it by themselves. Local people, they decided not asking the headquarters. The same as Western.
Right.
So my approach, my thinking way is Westerners dealing business for selling business. There's not so big differences between Japan and Westerners, but I think still they have. My feeling is Japanese is a big difference from German people.
I think it's a huge difference, actually.
Huge difference, but my feeling is very closer to Italian, as you said.
I believe actually.
So I want to hear from you your feeling, your thought.
My thought. Okay, so my thought is actually that there is a huge difference between European negotiators and Japanese negotiations. I feel that European negotiators are.
But wait a minute, but German and British, French, Italy, big difference.
They're also different. Okay, but let's try to look at the commonalities in the European one. So one thing that everybody has in more or less extent is a linear active approach. That means that the cause and effect, which is stronger in Germany than in Italy, admittedly. So there's more attention towards relationship building, wining, dining, getting to know each other, getting to like each other, trusting, respecting each other. That is the start of a good negotiation with an Italian. Whereas in Germany, it's more about framing the problem, analyzing it. And then knocking off every point, carefully preparing the solution before you take action. It's not exactly, but if you compare that, for example, in Japan, I would say that in Japan there is it's much less negotiating, it's much less engaging on a person-to-person basis. It's more the negotiator is a representative of the company, not the person who takes responsibility, which is lethal. It's deadly if you do that when you're negotiating with a European, because Europeans are always being taught to only negotiate with decision makers. If you are not negotiating with the decision makers, this person that's sitting across from the table from you cannot make any negotiation. Leave the table and find the decision maker. Don't waste your time negotiating with somebody who can't make any decisions. So that is a problem. I feel that the way that we are trying to manage the process, trying to frame the problem, trying to create an entire strategy and try to move and influence and manipulate that entire process doesn't exist like this in Japan. Not the whole game is different. Then there is this more of a holistic approach versus the model thinking. So what's inside the minds, what people are thinking when they're thinking about a certain problem, which is very often a very abstract idea. I mean, okay, we can kind of visualize a building with a maquette, with a model, but more abstract things, like for example a software project is very abstract. So to be on the same page, not only in terms of the process but also in terms of the product and what exactly it entails, to really get on the same page and understand what we are making and how we're going to make it, is extremely difficult when we are negotiating cross culture.
Now we're talking about like a system development is one example.
Right. Yeah.
Example. Just I told you, they made a contract very vague. Okay, not precise, not like German style.
Right.
Very vague. So later on, they caused problem.
Right.
And this sort of things happen for Japanese people, but Italian people looks for me looks the same, similar with them.
Right.
Right.
Well, Italian people are much more easygoing. Like in Germany, 70% of the time is spent in preparation, 30% actually execution. Their execution is good, just like Japan. Once the Germans have finally gone through all the preparation, everything is clear, everything is decided, specified. The software development specifications are clear, the test specifications are clear. Everybody knows what to do. Just follow the manual and just follow through. And they are quite successful.
How about British?
So British and Dutch are, I think we are kind of the same. So what we like to do is we do not 70% preparation, we do 30% preparation. And the remaining 70% we will figure out as we go. So that means, because a lot of people feel, okay, let's get the contract, let's get started, right? So we just follow we just make some extractions. So for example, you put in instead of specifying everything, you basically specify so scope, for example, right? So I wrote a lot of proposals for software development, and in order to shortcut the entire process, every contract always has, okay, so everything that is not in this scope is assumed to be out of scope. So unless it is in this scope, it's in there. Everything that's not in there is out of scope.
Okay, I was just only working with Accenture, so I don't know the ordinary American company, but Accenture was very detailed defining for the scope.
Right.
Very carefully.
Right.
For the strife with client, customer. But you said British is different.
I think
Dutch is different.
Right. Yeah, but Americans are more litigious. They are more easy to sue you than
America
British.
America is very easy to sue.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why
Careful.
they will prepare for more detailed
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah.
Avoiding sue.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But Dutch people and British are less litigious, so they
not much suing.
No.
So just more easygoing.
More easygoing, more like, okay, so like the details. A lot of our projects would entail that actually we would assign key users within the organization, and the key users, they would actually work together with a consultant and a key user, and then we would kind of figure out as we are going how we are going to map their processes in the software. So it's not, everything is not already specified. This is part of the project, part of the implementation. So we have not made a very clear specification. Okay, this and this and this and this is what we're going to do. But basically, we put in our proposal that we define this and these parts of the software will be implemented. We will assign a key user and we will assign a consultant, and then based on that we will make a proposal to the steering committee, etc., etc.
How about French?
I am not 100% sure about French. I don't know actually. I've never worked with French in a software development.
Oh, really?
But I really can tell the difference between Germans and Dutch people. It's very clear, even though we're neighbors, but it's very clear. Belgians are also a little bit different from the Dutch. Belgians are closer to Germans than to Dutch people, I believe. They're a bit arrogant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're a bit arrogant. You wouldn't say so, but they're a bit arrogant.
Oh. But German people are so arrogant.
Yeah.
Right? So arrogant. They just disregard for Japanese. Right?
So, but basically for anyone, it's not only Japanese.
Anyone,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, they feel that they have superior engineering skills and superior. They do everything tanto, and they have a different work style. They have a different approach from the Dutch. They are very majime. Yeah, I worked there for a while. I can definitely say that there are more risk involved in a Dutch project than there are in a German project.
You said risk involvement?
Yeah, risk in terms of a German approach, a German contract.
They're going taking risk with me?
They're taking less risks.
Less risk.
Less risks. Yeah, they're taking less risk. They prepare much better than Dutch people.
I see.
But on the other hand, basically, it's a bit of a wrestle, a Dutch project. It's a bit of a wrestle because a lot of things still need to be decided during the project. And a lot of things can actually happen. So, for example, there is data migration going on. So the only thing that is specified is, we need to migrate data at least a certain percentage from system A to system B, and then we could figure out that actually the data quality is very poor. So there will be a whole discussion during the project with the project team and the client. So you put in the contract that you're going to migrate the data. Now instead of the promised 80%, you only can deliver 60%. What's up? You're not in compliance with our contract. Yeah, but your data sucks. So we're not gonna put, like, if you're gonna put in garbage in, you get garbage out. So basically you pollute your data. So it's in your best interest that we are not inputting it. These kinds of discussions happen all the time.
But this kind of discussion is always you talking about cost of change.
Yeah.
And negotiate with client.
Yes.
But in Japanese case is very difficult to negotiation.
Right. Customer just says, you promised 80% data conversion, so you're going to give 80%. And what might happen is that actually the Japanese vendor will actually need to actually clean up the data before they're going to migrate it. So that we would not do that.
You just negotiation with price and cost.
Yeah.
Right. And implementation.
Yes.
Okay, going back to your explanation, I'm not clear understanding for Japanese and different from the rest of the world in Europe.
So from what I have seen, I feel that Japanese
image. You stay in Japan many years, so
yes.
the aspect of European people, what is a major obstacle or some major annoyance issues against Japanese?
Okay, so basically they don't negotiate.
They don't negotiate.
Right.
What do you mean don't negotiate?
They don't negotiate. They
You mean
basically
no allowance?
they basically just tell you what they have decided. So they actually just give you what they want to deliver to you. They don't listen to you. They are not willing to create exceptions or to give something, take something. A good negotiation, a European negotiation, a good negotiation will create more value for both sides, because you're going to together you're going on a discovery to say, okay, what can I give to you in exchange for something that I want from you, so that we can both get a better deal. So basically what we are trying to do as negotiators, we're trying to increase the value for both sides in a give and take. That requires delegation of power, that requires flexibility, that requires that you really understand what the other side wants. Now, I don't feel that Japanese people are very good at really understanding what the other side wants, especially when they are foreigners. Maybe within Japan they can kind of read the air and feel that, okay, this is important to the customer, but they are much more obsessed with pushing their own agenda than listening to what the other side wants.
Takashi always saying that in Vietnam, Japanese people, Japanese company, they try to consider what kind of proposal they deliver to the customer in Vietnam instead of listening counterpart people.
Yeah.
I understand what you said. And Japanese is especially for foreign company. Among Japanese people, I think they can do better communication with each other. But overseas, just try to transfer technology something, and Japanese are very stubborn to sticking to their own technology. I understand. Foreigners, not for Japanese and Japanese.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand what you mean. They don't want to change the level of quality.
Right. So they just have this product, they have this service, and that's what they're selling. It's good, but they are not really focused on getting to know what drives the other side, how they could actually provide something that would be of more value. They just follow what they have.
What is the basics for their thought? Because Japanese are very poor communicating.
I think they're constantly looking over their shoulder, to because they are more obsessed with what their superior thinks than what their customer thinks, and I believe that this is different in Europe.
Japanese are not so much familiar with European value or European level of technology, or their concerns, and also Japanese people believe they are best.
Right. Yeah. Right. So they're selling their, and basically what happens, European salespeople, they are strong not only towards their customers but also towards their own organization. They say, okay, so no, we need to do this for this customer. This is important for us as a company. So we need to change this, or we need to make a product like this, or we need to provide a service like that. This is crucial. So a good salesman is not just selling whatever product they have. They listen to the customer. They say, okay, well, we can give this to this customer. We can be a winner. We can make a contract. We can get a good customer. That means that he goes back to his own organization and he's going to raise hell until the organization is actually providing something that will persuade this customer.
It means the European people, they are more skillful for better communication.
They negotiate with the customer, but also with their own organization. They are trying to manage, they're trying to influence, they're trying to push and shove until they get things done.
So it means among the customer and within the company, there are better communication each other.
Right. They're trying to not only be in compliance, they're really trying to push and shake the organization until they get their way. They can make the sale. They can make the customer happy, and they can make their organization.
Japanese people, among Japanese, I think very good communication each other. But as soon as they're going outside, they cannot communicate with overseas people.
Do Japanese salespeople, do Japanese negotiators, do they force their own organization to change, to make a different kind of product, to adjust their service to fit, for example, the Vietnamese client, or even a new market segment in Japan? Do they do that, or basically do they just try to push whatever this company thought was a good idea without listening to the customer and just try to sell as much as they can, but not trying to force the organization to change?
Try not to force.
So a good salesman in Europe tries to change the organization.
Change the organization?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that basically, if I find that a big, I don't know, let's say that we make, I meet with a big insurance company, and we are offering this product, but actually, when I listen to them, they have a different problem. So they are not that interested in this product that I'm trying to sell, but they have a different product that they would like. So I would go back to my organization and say, listen guys, we cannot sell this to them, but if we change this and we do this and we do that, then we have a perfect product. If we can pitch this, I suggest we just make this, and then will be a big strife internally. But as a salesperson, this is part of your job. You need to manage your client as well as your own organization to basically bring them together. So you're not just going to sell your product and be very much and just try to push it into your.
What do you mean the organization change?
Adjust your own organization to deliver what the customer needs. So if the customer needs a different kind of product that you do not make yet, you're going to make sure that your company starts to make that product, because it's vital to actually create sales. That's your responsibility. You have your targets. You need to make your sales numbers. So if you see a good sales opportunity that your company cannot yet fulfill, then it's your task as a salesperson to try to change your organization.
What do you mean change your organization?
Change your organization. So let them make a different kind of product or a different kind of service.
Oh, okay. Changing the process.
Changing a process, creating new products, doing something else to make sure that you can to actually develop your sales.
So, okay, my former question is what is my background in my thought? Okay, is how Japanese negotiation skill, what kind of skill should be improved, or what kind of way or approach or to negotiate with Westerners? What kind of improvement Japanese should have?
Okay, so I think very simple. Stop driving your own agenda and first try to discover what the other side wants, who they are, and what they need before you're going to push your own product.
I understand that kind of point, but how to solve it? Japanese people never listen to counterpart.
So that's what they need to solve. Really, that's what they need to solve. They need to listen and actually be prepared to negotiate. If you're not negotiating, then people don't want to waste time with you. If you just
They never do that, right?
right.
But this, I understand what you mean, but how they're going to improve that kind of,
I know, seriously, if you want to be a counterpart for European companies, you better listen to them and try to be creative and adjust and build up a relationship. So listen to them, give something, try to get something in return, make concessions when necessary on price, and establish develop a personal relationship.
Okay, I should tell you, my question is, how come they have nothing improved past 50 years?
Well,
I understand what you mean, but many Japanese understand. But why they cannot attain the kind of, gap past 50 years? Why Japanese deliver their own selfish, approach to the overseas company? How come they cannot change it?
Because they're completely not used to this.
Huh?
They're completely not used to this. This is there are difficulties on so many different levels. We have the language problem. We have the fact that we do not think linear active. Then we have and as a result of that, we have the problem that we cannot debate, which makes it very difficult to negotiate. Then we have difficulty with delegation. So we have a vertical organization and on top of that, people are not rewarded for taking risks. They are being penalized for taking risks. So there are problems on so many different levels that there's not just a simple fix. It is a very long list of fixes that we need to work on.
Oh, is it impossible to improve it?
Well, I mean, maybe we should send about 100,000 Japanese students to study in the United States and Europe.
Are they? Not many.
No, there are not many.
Not 100,000.
No, there are not many. There are fewer and fewer every year.
Chinese is 500,000 now.
Fewer and fewer every year.
Yeah.
So that's completely the different direction. This is a big problem.
Yeah, this is this course is concerned. Why I am asking you to study negotiation skill. But this is basically I'm orienting for Japanese company, Japanese people to reconsider the negotiation skill. It means they will communicate with Asian people, European people, American people. What is our problem in the past half century? I believe there's nothing changed. But I told you, like a Sony corporate subsidiary in Singapore, this company is doing very well. This might be exception, and they just accept responsibility. But many cases they don't want to accept responsibility overseas subsidiary. This is cause a problem. But more than that.
But how come? So basically, they don't want to accept responsibility. So one reason why. So I'm just trying to guess why would they not want to take responsibility? What benefit would they have from accepting responsibility?
Yeah, exactly. He don't have any benefit. Okay, he's staying in the subsidiary president in some Asian Pacific country, and he just stay there next 3 to 5 years. He don't take risk.
Right.
Okay.
Don't rock the boat.
Yeah. So he's avoid risk. So he's just any kind of critical issue or some big discount. He need to throw the ball to headquarters. This is it. And headquarters, okay, whatever you like, but they don't want to take risk.
Right.
And their responsibility is bottom line. If you can't get profit,
Right.
you're going to be degraded.
Right.
Whenever you're coming back to Japan.
Right. So people, they get a target, improve 3 to 5%, and that's it.
It's
So,
easy. Consider for past 20 years, okay, I'm assigned to Indonesia, I'm assigned to Singapore. Past 5 years, next 5 years, okay, the same as it is, but he's just stable.
Yeah.
He can keep stable position. But now is okay, I assigned to Singapore, the profit is from 3% to 10%. I'm overseas 15%, okay, but my company is 3 in the past. So he just keeps 3%, it's good enough, instead of 10%, 15%. He don't take risk.
No, it's better also to
Good
wait.
example is China. Many Japanese companies went to China past 50 years. Which company success, right? This tells that
Trust
actually
retailing, maybe.
many people they don't,
Right.
and this is they try not to take responsibility.
And most companies actually they go to China not to gain consumer customers. They're just going there to reduce their costs. So business process
Exactly.
outsourcing.
Exactly. And even if like some cases like which one? Shiseido, a few companies doing success there, or
Yeah.
Uniqlo, but not many. So I think Japanese need to consider for negotiation skill toward European people, American people, what they should do.
So what they should do.
Okay, you just wrote a list. Okay,
Right.
why they cannot success, but in the past 50 years they didn't get success in
Right.
China, Asia Pacific, all over the world.
They were extremely successful, actually. To be fair, because the Japanese businesses they actually were extremely successful in the 80s because they made superior products. But at that time, it was still mass production against lower prices. So the Japanese cost structure, the cost of labor versus the number of hours, the effort they would put in.
Not anymore. This
Not
is
anymore.
20 years ago.
Yeah. So, but at that time they were extremely successful, and mass products were still in demand. So they made a product that was superior quality at a lower price point than a lot of other countries, other producers. But yeah, unfortunately, that model has been copied, and now other countries are trying to do the same thing.
Well, recently, Chinese companies get more and more skill, technology skill. Like 5G, one example, auto drive skill is very advanced, and Japanese still some area have advantage. But it seems to me, most problem is not product kind of sort of technology. Japanese has far behind for how to communicate with overseas people, like not like a Chinese people. So what kind of action we should take for this negotiation? This is we should do something for outside people, right? And not only language training. Any other effort we should put on it.
So a good negotiator is a good listener, takes responsibility.
Okay, for example, if I'm going to take one issue like negotiation, is not only language.
No.
What is it?
It is so not only language. Like one crucial skill, I believe, is debate critical thinking.
Okay, critical thinking. What is it?
Critical thinking is basically looking at the other side and looking at what is on the table and think, okay, sure, I can
at
see.
the other side. So
Right.
at the other side. Yeah.
And looking at the other side, trying to understand and say, okay, how can we do this better? How can we actually? So you're saying this, but okay, what if we would do this or would that? So basically, think out of the box and try to be creative and say, okay, well, you say this, but what if we flip this around? What if we, instead of going left, why don't we just try and see if we can go right and do it and do it that way? That requires abstract thinking. So I believe that the Japanese way of trying to grasp reality is by digging into detail.
They are not.
They are. They're digging into detail. They're looking at details instead of the bigger picture. So Europeans, they like to look at the bigger picture. They try to make a global model, and from there say, okay, so let's agree on the main points first. Let's look at the 80%, 80-20 rule. So they're going to look at the 80. They're trying to grab like 80% in a model, accepting the fact that they do not yet look at, for example, details like, okay, but how is the data migration going to look like, etc. That's of later concern. So let's look at the big picture first. So this kind of attitude, I think this is something that very well resonates with any European.
Japanese, they do not have it
No,
in the history.
I think this is really a cultural thing.
Never experienced.
This is a cultural thing. Yeah.
So they need to change culture.
It would be beneficial if people go to business school like Kimoto-san, because you learn this stuff at Globus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Groups taught us to think a big picture.
Yeah. They teach that in business school.
So Japanese company, culture still, even if like a Globus is very much more emphasized on critical things, but Japanese companies' culture never changed.
Yeah.
Change?
Yeah.
Changing.
Not change.
Right.
Why
right.
they cannot change it? Why they cannot change it?
Because Japanese are very details.
Right.
Why they cannot change it? Even Globus try to, not only Globus, many companies try to make an effort, but
Because, for example, junior high school and university don't taught critical thinking.
Right. Look at the way that Japan is testing and quizzing their students. How you get into university? That's by knowing details. A lot of details. You grasp a lot of information. So you are being trained to absorb a lot of information and be able to reproduce the kind of esoteric, non-relevant information. So not essay writing, not trying to be creative, look at the bigger picture, but it's very much detail oriented.
it means they cannot change it.
No, it means that they have not changed it.
This morning we discussed John Tzu is his concept is we need to consider for broad mind, wider perspective, and you observe anything from the cosmos, not into detail, grasp broader mind.
Right.
So this is 2,500 years ago. He just talking about that, which Japanese does not have. But they were different. But what you're talking about very similar. Japanese need to consider for the more broader mind, and this is
The bigger picture, to create a vision, to create a narrative for yourself. Like, what do you believe in? Your story. What does your world look like? Not a bunch of unrelated details, but what is like? Put yourself in a helicopter and look down and
why
what do
they
you see?
can't make it the kind of grand strategy type of planning. Why they can't do it?
I think people are part of that mechanism. In Europe, we are individuals. We are individuals first. So we look at the world from our viewpoint. In Japan, we are not individuals first. We are part of that organization. So we are actually inside that organization. That is where we belong. So people look at details because they don't put themselves first. They put the organization first. So I think it's really a cultural thing, and logical that Japanese people tend to be more detail oriented because their organization is more important than they are. Whereas in Europe, we feel that we are more important than the organization.
And Japanese like instead of strategic approach, they like how to implement approach, right?
So, but not from this point, but actually looking at what passes through their hands and coming up with very ingenious, very highly sophisticated ways to actually improve their process and be getting better and better and better, with a lot of diligence, with a lot of dedication to detail. But it is subarashi. We can't do that.
It's problem. They cannot fix it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but,
more and more Japanese people are going to business school, right? And this is where
not many.
really, I've
No, business school is currently Indonesian, Asian country people coming to study here, Chinese in Japan. And if you go to graduate school, very few
a
Japanese.
graduate, yeah, but that's because a graduate school is very highly appreciated outside of Japan, but not inside Japan. Graduate school is kind of like.
And also
People-
the Japanese university, they don't teach kind of strategic approach, I believe. And the Japanese education system is sort of scholar type education. Or maybe they are just more hot topics they try to handle, but I don't know well. But actually, Japanese business society never changed it, right? This proves the kind of problem, right? Or not strategic approach. They cannot handle it. How they're going to do it? This is education.
Well, education definitely is part of the problem, I feel.
But Takahashi always say he feels very difficult. He feels it's very difficult to change corporate planning direction. Corporate planner they are not wrong, but they cannot make a drastic strategic planning. Maybe many board members conservative. This one reason. Conservative. He cannot make drastic, planning. Like Uniqlo is the owner is very strong leadership. He can do it whatever he wants. But few companies can do that.
So I recently, for the first time in Japan, I visited the boardroom, and I must say that actually, top management in the boardroom was much more progressive than middle management. Much more strategic, much more looking at the bigger picture.
But he cannot do it in Japanese company, right? He is and aggressive, but he cannot decide by himself.
Right. So I don't know whether every boardroom is like that.
He needs to follow on the majority people opinion.
Right. Or, I mean, you can evangelize. So what I try to do in my company is to evangelize, to create a movement, to create a story, constantly keep that story and try to sell it. In my current company.
Oh, okay.
But maybe that's acceptable when you're a foreigner, but not if you're a Japanese.
What's that?
So,
What do you say?
trying to create a movement, trying to evangelize, trying to create change, even as a middle management person, to constantly reinforce your story and try to persuade others to follow, is probably something that is not accepted if you are a Japanese person, but is well accepted if you're a European.
Non-Japanese more acceptable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
That's difficult. That's difficult for Japanese people to change the organization from within. For a Western person, it's easier.
Yeah, that's the reason why the Japanese company try to hire a consulting company to get some suggestion from outside, right?
Right. So this is actually a problem, because if companies really need to change, structurally need to change, you need people who actually going to look at the bigger picture, who can direct a company, be strategic, and give direction to the company, instead of looking at the details and try to improve what's better. So my assignment was to improve workflows, the way that people work, to let them work more efficient. But that was not the problem. People were not the problem was not really that people were inefficient. Sure, there was place for improvement. The problem was that people working on the wrong things. So
exactly, this is what I want to discuss a little bit more. And instead of how to improve productivity, but the major concern problem is not how to. They are doing wrong things, and they need to focus on what you should do.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but many companies, they do not recognize kind of issues. They're much more training is how to many how to program education the people, but this is they don't solve the issues.
Right.
Okay, now is we try to increase productivity more. It means they try to much more focus on training how to increase productivity, more higher productivity.
Right.
No. This is you need to much more concerned about what you should do. What you should do means you yourself need to change. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is they don't understand. This is my opinion is, right? Am I right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, you can be very efficient at making a horse wagon, but it's definitely not going to be of being very trying to develop skills to become.
Are you preparing kind of material like that?
Yeah, sure.
Why don't you give it to me?
But it's like my presentation style, right? So
Yeah,
I have just 3 slides and just with a few words and images.
Okay, few slides. Yeah.
Right.
Why don't you give it to
So
me?
I gave a presentation to the board of directors, 2 slides, just 2 slides. So they can.
Oh my God! You can speak 1 slide for 20 minutes, but I can't do that. Yeah, 3 lines and I finish 3 minutes. But you can pinpoint, what the message is supposed to be. This is the same thing, I try to sell any company. Uno School's message is not how to, okay? You should focus on what you should do. But this is more important than how to manage.
Right.
But what you should manage, this is more important. But Japanese company, they do not understand. Okay, it means productivity increase. Okay, what kind of method we should adopt for productivity increase, or IT tool, or communication approach, or some sort of things that we can deliver, mailing system, so forth. Okay, this is also important, but also what they should do.
Yeah, or especially for most Japanese companies, what they should not do.
What should not do?
Yeah.
This is a Confucius teach that what should not do the first.
Right.
Good point. I just need to write.
So maybe we should take a break and save the video.
Yeah. Okay. Just today is the negotiation skill. I had a good discussion with you, and we are moving to Africa. Okay. Just okay. We try to.
Today you got the santan.
What you got? What you said?
I've been on the tennis court for 4 hours, だから.
4 hours, it's very tough.
So, but to be honest with you, I feel a little